Welcome to Future Dragon Rocket. I am not Ryan Reynolds. So this is going to be my video for episode 2 of Secret Invasion on Disney+. It was called Promises. It came in at a runtime of 58 minutes. Let's get into it. It starts off with kind of a recap of the Captain Marvel movie. We're back in 1995, and Nick Fury is kind of explaining to the Skrulls like what they need to do to kind of like fall in line to survive and keep hidden on planet Earth while he and Carol Danvers find a home for them, essentially. And then we cut to like 2 years later, like Brixton, London, 1997, and we meet a young Gravik. So there was some people speculating prior to the show coming out that Gravik was going to be Nick Fury's son. So obviously that's out the window because Gravik's already like a teenager in 1997, right after Fury meets the Skrulls for the first time. And we kind of get confirmation of what we were all dreading from episode 1, and that's that Maria Hill is dead. I was really sorry to see her go. She's been in the MCU since phase 1. She was in phase 2 as well. She was slightly a little bit in phase 3. She skipped phase 4. They bring her back in phase 5 just for one episode of one single show. So I thought that really did Maria Hill dirty. But we pick up in the aftermath of the Moscow bombing from episode 1. We see Maria Hill being brought back to America in a coffin covered in an American flag. We get to meet her mother, and her spouse or her partner, and her mother talks to Nick Fury, kind of blaming Fury for Maria Hill's death. But we can blame the writers or Feige or Colby Smulders for that. But yeah, I really wish we still had Maria Hill. So hopefully she's in Tahiti, just like Phil Coulson is, or some other way around her not being dead. And we see this guy that is a Skrull. We know he's a Skrull from episode 1, but he's part of the terrorist group Americans Against Russia. So a Skrull bombs Russia because everyone wants to think that America is going against Russia in this Skrull invasion, and so he gets arrested. And he eventually is going to get interrogated have a really brutal torture scene. He's going to have his finger cut off, and apparently that's just the easiest way to tell if someone's a Skrull. Just cut their finger off, because once you cut their finger off, their finger turns back to green. Talos and Fury are on a train ride out of Russia, and Talos lets this truth bomb drop on Fury that since Thanos, Talos has now brought 1 million Skrulls to planet Earth, because he didn't know what to do. He didn't know Fury was coming back. Fury was snapped by Thanos, so Fury was gone for 5 years. Talos didn't know what to do. He didn't think anyone was going to get blipped back. So Talos has 1 million Skrulls on Earth, and I've read some theories. People are now thinking that Talos is kind of like a double agent now. He's working. He's trying to make it appear that he's working against the very, very polarized terrorist Skrulls, but there's theories that he's actually working against both sides. He's working against Fury now too, just because it has been 30 years. But that was a huge truth bomb. There's 1 million Skrulls on planet Earth now, and the UK Prime Minister is a Skrull. The NATO commander is a Skrull. Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore is a Skrull. There's so many Skrulls out there. Fury is back in New York City after leaving Russia. And he finally has a conversation with Rhodey, and Rhodey drops another big truth bomb in this episode, just like Talos just did. Rhodey says that he's known for 15 years that there's been Skrulls on Earth, and 15 years, that's pretty much the whole MCU. I mean, in real life it's 2023, but in the MCU it's 2025, so Rhodey has basically known that there's been Skrulls on Earth since Iron Man 2, possibly since Iron Man 1. He's known this whole time, but it was really weird to see Rhodey and Fury talk to each other, because they've never actually spoken together in the MCU. They were both in Age of Ultron together, but they've never spoken together in the MCU. So we don't really know how they talk to each other. They kind of had a conversation about race, but it's weird that Rhodey would volunteer to fire Fury like that. So I do kind of think Rhodey could be a Skrull, but I mean, the real Rhodey, I don't see volunteering to fire Fury. He may have disagreements with it and approve of it, but not volunteer to do the actual termination of his employment. And we get a bunch of Easter eggs as Gaia, Talos' daughter, is kind of infiltrating the Skrull sect of terrorists. She's going through their computer, and we see all these Easter eggs for Groot, Ice Beast, Cull Obsidian, and Extremis. Obviously, everyone knows who Groot is, so if you've watched the trailer, you know that Gravik is going to use those Groot powers somehow. He's going to be, basically injected with like Groot DNA. So we'll see that later on. But the other ones I thought were really cool is that the Ice Beast Easter egg that you saw was actually from Thor: The Dark World's post credit scene. You see an Ice Beast kind of just like running around somewhere in London after the events of Thor: The Dark World. So that was really cool to see that loose end kind of tied up, because like that post credit scene was always like the worst of the worst MCU movie. Like why is that the post credit scene? You could have done so much more with a post credit scene from Thor: The Dark World, especially since they introduced the Reality Infinity Stone in that movie. So the Ice Beast was eventually caught, and someone's possibly going to get DNA from the Ice Beast. And then we know that Extremis was introduced in Iron Man 3, and we've also seen that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We've seen it in Shang-Chi, so who knows, Gravik might get Extremis put into him, so he can have that extra ability to fight. And after Infinity War, I never really thought about it, but yeah, who took Cull Obsidian's hand from Washington Square Park in New York City after the events of Infinity War? Because someone's going to use Cull Obsidian's DNA to get super strength, like super impenetrable skin. So that was really cool. That was just kind of like something from Star Wars, like the Emperor searching for Luke Skywalker's hand after Empire Strikes Back. And that torture scene was really one for the books as far as the MCU goes. I don't really know that there's been any real torture stuff in the MCU. I mean, Thanos kind of tortured Thor a little bit at the opening scene of Infinity War in front of Loki. That's the only other one that really comes to mind. But that was pretty brutal watching like his blood boil after his finger got cut off. And the final scene, Nick Fury finally comes home to his wife. He has mentioned his wife before in Winter Soldier, I believe. And Winter Soldier, he was talking to Cap about his wife, but we get to meet Nick Fury's wife, and she is a Skrull. And it's still kind of unclear whether Fury knows she's a Skrull, because she's a Skrull, and then as soon as he comes home, she changes into some human appearance. Like, who is this human she's taking the image of? Like, that's a big question. Like, who is the image Nick Fury's Skrull wife is taking, and does Nick Fury know that his wife is a Skrull? Apparently the writer or somebody of the show did say that Fury knows that his wife is a Skrull, but we'll see, because writers, producers, directors will always lie about stuff just to avoid their work getting found out too early and spoilers happening. But let me know in the comments what you think. Who is Nick Fury's Skrull wife taking a copy image of to transform into, and does he know that his wife is a Skrull? But this is a great 2 episodes of the 6-episode show on Disney Plus so far. I feel like it's all probably going to lead up to a lot of reveals in the final episode, a lot of like truth bombs in the episode 6 finale. But stay tuned. I'll be doing videos and TikToks for all the episodes. And then probably taking a good month break in August before Ahsoka drops on Disney Plus. That's kind of the next project after Secret Invasion that I'll be checking out, and I hope you check out too, because that is probably gonna be like like season 5 of Rebels. So if you have not, Rebels, 4 seasons of Rebels on Disney Plus is a good quick show to binge this summer in preparation for Ahsoka dropping August 23rd on Disney Plus. But stay tuned for a lot more Secret Invasion.